I want to take a moment to begin this video and talk about this struggle we're having with this channel. It's really kind of the way that gun channels are interacting with Google and YouTube is affecting us, and it's affecting our ability to be able to produce content. So I want to take a moment and just ask you, support us on Patreon, where a lot of the content we can't put here is going, and it supports this ministry. Welcome to a series called Firing by the Fire, where we're going through the book of Acts, verse by verse, to see what it is that the first church did. This first church, the very first church following Christ's resurrection and ascension into heaven before his return, was really the last time we saw really any church behave like this. Because what we see of the church today is nothing like this first church. They call buildings churches, whereas we are the church. The building's not a church. The people are the church. And this first church understood that because the Holy Spirit communicated openly with them. Also, as Firing by the Fire, God asked me to go through this book by the fire. And then he said to shoot a gun. Maybe it has to do with the algorithm or whatever. But I'm going to be working on the speed rack that we got from Shoot Steel. This thing is awesome with my Dan Wesson. So we're just going to pick it up where we left off. Peter is just kind of given a sermon, really, and he's using prophecy to show what is taking place. So we're just going to pick it up where we left off. Acts 2, verse 22. Men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man attested by God to you by miracles, wonders, and signs, which God did through him in your midst, as you yourselves also know. Him, being delivered by the determined counsel and foreknowledge of God, you have taken by lawless hands, have crucified and put to death, whom God raised up, having loosened the pains of death, because it was not possible that he should be held by it. Now, the last episode we talked about that specifically on just showing that it is God that determined what was going to happen to Jesus. Everything that took place was predetermined by God and prophesied about through Joel. And now he's given the example of David, the prophecy of David, to further show that this is God. It's not that you just killed a guy. It's that you killed God. And he is the only one who has the power of everlasting life to escape death. And that's where we're going to pick up there. So we'll keep going to 25. For David says concerning him, I foresaw the Lord always before my face, for he is at my right hand, that I may not be shaken. Therefore my heart rejoiced and my tongue was glad. Moreover, my flesh will also rest in hope, because you will not leave my soul in Hades, nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption. You have made known to me the ways of life. You will make me full of joy in your presence. Now, this prophecy of David comes from Psalm 16. And ultimately what he's saying is that, when I die, when I say I won't stay bound in death, in this sleep, I'll escape it. And I know I'll escape it because you escaped it. And you told me that you would not leave me there. Now, David, of course, was born long before Jesus was. So this is a prophecy of knowing that the Lord, all caps, L-O-R-D, will send the Lord, just capital L. And David knew this to be so. And now Peter is saying, David knew this. King David, the guy we all love, he knew this. And he sang this song about it. Let's keep going. 29. Men and brethren, let me speak freely to you of the patriarch David, that he is both dead and buried, and his tomb is with us to this day. Therefore, being a prophet, and knowing that God had sworn with an oath to him that of the fruit of his body, according to the flesh, he would raise up the Christ to sit on his throne. Even David knew that God was going to be of his descendant. I mean, what an amazing thing. He, foreseeing this, spoke concerning the resurrection of the Christ, that his soul was not left in Hades, nor did his flesh see corruption. This Jesus God has raised up, of which we are all witnesses. Therefore, being exalted to the right hand of God, and having received from the Father the promise of the Holy Spirit, he poured out this which you now see and hear. For David did not ascend into the heavens, but he says himself, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. And that's from Psalm 110. So David knew that God, the Father, was going to send the Son. And then until the Son sits at the right hand of God, when that happens, that he'll make his enemy's footstool, which means he wasn't even born yet. Like, he knew that was the future. But this presence is a blink. It's a moment of an eye. Like the moment you were just in is gone now. What David and Peter are talking about here is eternity. They're talking about this moment in time where all these people who may seem to be your enemies and may even seem to be getting away with it, they will be held accountable. And it's important that we fully see what it is as a church we're to do, because David saw it before Jesus was even born. And now Peter is showing it. That we know that we have this life, that we will be raised from the dead because he was raised from the dead. David prophesied about it, and we actually stared at it. We saw it. We didn't hear about it, read about it. We saw it with our own eyes. We touched him when he was resurrected. We saw him when he was dead. We saw him get buried. And then we touched him when he was alive. He was there. And then we watched him ascend into heaven. And now we're filled with the Holy Spirit. And David himself prophesied about this. This moment in time that the church has experienced was a heavily prophesied thing. And what we're witnessing is they saw prophecy turn into reality in front of their very eyes. And this church today, they believe it, but they don't believe it. They believe in Jesus, but they don't believe that they have the power to do the things that... Where are the miracles? Where are the healings? These first disciples, this first church came out, and many were saved, many were healed, and people, oh, well, my church, we save. So, no, you don't. You open the doors and you let people come in, and if they choose to come in, they then may be saved. This is very different what this first church is doing, and they're saying, we know this to be true because David prophesied about it. We stared at it with our own eyes, and this Jesus that David prophesied, you killed him. But we will escape death. We will not be bound in Hades because he was not bound in Hades. It's a beautiful thing. So I hope these videos are helping. Stick with us. It's been a while since we had made one of these. It's honestly, we got to get down to this location to do it. It's about 3 hours from our home, but we decided to get down here. So I'm going to work on the speed rack a little with this Dan Wesson, and it's going to be great. All right, so I like this rack. I've noticed, like, when I kind of go to it real quick, so I'm trying to speed. I guess that's why they call it a speed rack. So I'm going to slow down my first 5. I did that last time. Slow down my first 5, and then I did great the next 5, and then I slowed down. I kind of went quick to my first 5 on the next time, and I missed the very first shot. So I'm just going to slow down, do 5, and I'm going to get 5 as fast as I can on target. After that, just knowing it's on target. So love this thing, though. This thing's cool. All right, that was better. I missed the 4th one, but yeah, that's the general idea. I'm going to kind of keep doing that. That's cool. I think that helps.